Titanfall has landed, plummeting down from the heavens in a crackle of thunder and smoke, but even as the dust begins to settle, the shockwave left behind by Respawn Entertainment's premier shooter continues to play havoc with our lives. The game has been designed in such a way that it's only a matter of time before you say, "Wow, that was awesome!" And believe us, you will. It's these flashpoints of self-ingenuity, skill, and even pure luck that will form a tome of tales for you to tell. Every match feels like a highlight reel in waiting, an unmolded lump of clay ready to be sculpted by your actions. And that, in itself, is a terrific achievement. Yes, Titanfall is fundamentally a Twitch shooter. Yes, there isn't half as many gameplay modes as we'd like. And yes, the online multiplayer-only option is a point of contention. But everything comes together so magically with an astonishing attention to balance that it's an experience quite like no other. The game's campaign, if you can call it that, is a huge misfire. The general gist of the story is a subpar confrontation between two warring factions, the IMC and the militia. You'll listen to dramatic, horribly scripted speeches before each round begins, but because you're essentially playing a multiplayer match, against human opponents no less, any story or expansion on what you're supposed to be fighting for becomes background noise. Even though we made our way through both factions and completed over 50 campaign missions, we couldn't tell you what happens. We were always too busy concentrating on the on-screen action or grinning with glee at the ridiculousness of our latest kill. We do remember an angry South African man shouting a lot, if that helps. Surprisingly, Titanfall is not tailored to the Call of Duty elitists, even if it was developed by many of the great minds who birthed that particular phenomenon. It is, dare we utter the word, accessible. Even though you're encouraged to constantly be on the move, and we strongly recommend you are, it's possible to go an entire round without succumbing to the bullets of an opponent. You won't be constantly respawning or dying instantly just because you didn't have the reactions of a Formula 1 driver. But even when you do die, every death feels fair, warranted, and never cheap. The game's experience system is also finely tuned. Titanfall doesn't overly reward players who happen to have unlimited hours on their hands, and it certainly won't punish those who don't. Instead, there are challenges to conquer, cleverly woven into every facet of the game. You'll be rewarded for using certain weapons, getting headshots, riding titans, calling titans, you name it. They're a great way of prompting you to experiment with a new weapon, loadout, or tactic and mix things up. But the best part is that the abilities and weapon enhancements you do unlock never create a noticeable power divide between you and your opponents, and that's crucial. Perks have also been scrapped in favor of burn cards, a single-use upgrade which disappear when you die. And even when you're losing, there's still an incentive to evacuate and gain yourself some rewards. If you can survive, that is. Again, it all comes down to Titanfall's wonderful notion of equality for all. Even though Titanfall features 12 human players, enemy AI populate the battlefield so you can level up quicker and gain ego-boosting kills regardless of your skill level. Hearing grunts yell, "Whoa, that was one of those pilots!" as you sprint past is wonderfully empowering. You're better than them, but they're still an important part of the fight, and picking them off helps you gain access to your Titan quicker. Oh, did we forget to mention every player gets to commandeer a Titan at some point during a game. Stand by for a chest-thumping rush as you transition into your powerful protector, squishing grunts and enemy pilots as you go, and then become enthralled in a rock-paper-scissors-like fight to the death, or until you eject, with another metal mayhem bringer. Speaking of maps, Titanfall has a fine selection to play through. The verticality on offer from each is outstanding and opens up the 15 maps on offer in creative, breathtaking ways. But Titanfall feels equally as expansive. It's as though you can go anywhere. Scale buildings until you're on the rooftop, skip through windows instead of using the front door. You can even leap from Titan to Titan should you be so bold. Where there's a will, there's a way, and usually a fine vantage point awaits. Technically speaking, Titanfall is not the most accomplished game on the market today. Although the game usually maintains a steady 60 frames per second, there are noticeable drops when things get crazy. There's also persistent screen tear, and the game runs at a bizarre resolution of 792p. Nevertheless, Titanfall is a testament to the mantra of gameplay over graphics, because everything else pales in significance when you're blasting bolts of lightning at the troops below, or ripping an enemy pilot out from the safety of their Titan cockpit and discarding them like a worthless ragdoll. The art style also goes a long way to ensuring that the game's universe is believable and separates it from becoming another bland military arena to fight in. We felt confident, almost cocksure, that Titanfall would slump into line with all the other drab multiplayer shooters that tend to dominate the charts. But we were wrong. Titanfall has denounced every ounce of skepticism we had in its reveal, and has reinvigorated our love for a genre that we, quite frankly, had begun to despise. It was and is undoubtedly the first next-gen title worth owning. Buckle up, pilot, you're in for one hell of a ride!